thought we'd finally sold our investment property for $945,000. And then the buyer pulled out. The reason that we were given was a change to the Australian SMSF borrowing rule that took effect on the 10th of August 2026. SMSFs can still buy residential property. What changed is whether they can borrow to buy it. Somehow, one obscure superannuation rule reached through the screen and killed our $945,000 property sale. So that was fun. But it sent me down a rabbit hole. I wanted to understand what had actually changed. And if you're thinking about property inside of super, this is worth understanding. So what changed? Super funds are generally prohibited from borrowing. One important exception has been something called a Limited Recourse Borrowing Arrangement, or LRBA. In simple terms, an LRBA allows an SMSF to borrow to acquire an asset under a specific structure, because apparently superannuation wasn't complicated enough. From the 10th of August 2026, the rules changed. For a new LRBA involving real property, the property now needs to qualify as business real property under the superannuation rules. So, if you're starting from scratch now and you want your SMSF to borrow to buy an ordinary residential investment property, that pathway has effectively closed. But the door isn't completely shut. It's just a much narrower doorway. So what can an SMSF still do? The first option is simple. An SMSF can still potentially buy residential property using cash already held inside the fund. The new rule is about the borrowing exceptions. It isn't a blanket ban on residential property ownership. All the normal SMSF rules still apply. Things like the fund's investment strategy, the sole purpose test, and restrictions around related parties and personal use. So this isn't, I've got enough super to buy an apartment, so I'll buy one and move in. That is a different conversation entirely. The second option is borrowing for business real property. And this is where things get interesting. What counts as business real property? The basic test is whether the property is used wholly or exclusively in one or more businesses. Sounds straightforward, until you have a property like ours. Our property is a Class 1B rooming house. It has 9 individual rental rooms. It is operated under a professional operators arrangement. Most of the residents are long-term, and finance over a property like this is generally treated very differently from a normal residential home. So, does that make it business real property? Not automatically, and that surprised me. Our property has apparently collected more identities than I have passports. Class 1B is one classification, commercial lending is another, operating as a going concern is another. All very useful labels. Unfortunately, none of them gets to vote on an SMSF definition. The SMSF question is still, how is the property actually being used? Our property has more business-like features than a normal residential home. 9 separate occupancies, professional operation, ongoing compliance and tenants management. But that still isn't enough for me to stand here and tell you it definitely qualifies. Something can look commercial without automatically meeting the SMSF definition of business real property. For a transaction involving this much money, that's where I'd want specialist SMSF advice. This is well beyond the point where I'd be trusting Karen from Facebook comments. And this is where our buyer comes back into the story. The timing of this change mattered to us. The legislation started applying on the 10th of August. The transactional rules protected certain arrangements that had already been entered into before that date. That included an existing pre-10 August borrowing arrangement. It can also include qualifying refinance, and there are transitional rules that can protect acquisition already entered into before the 10th of August, even if settlement happens later. The exact date matters, the exact documentation matters, and this is where our buyer's situation suddenly made sense. They received the contract right around the cutoff, but it hadn't been signed in time. So what looked like a fairly obscure change to superannuation law had suddenly become very real for us. The buyer had been trying to purchase our property through an SMSF. Now they were dealing with a different borrowing environment. I want to be careful with my wording here. We were told the rule change affected their finance. I'm not saying the legislation definitely prohibited their specific purchase. That depends on their structure. their documentation, and whether the property itself qualified under the new rules. But from our side of the transaction, the result was much simpler. The $945,000 sale disappeared. Why did the government change the rule? Borrowing inside super has been debated for years. The concern is fairly simple. Leverage increases risk to retirement savings. The government has now chosen to narrow restrictions rather than removing SMSF borrowing completely. New borrowing for ordinary residential property is restricted. Business, real property remains within the LRBA framework. And this change shouldn't be confused with some enormous fix for the Australian housing affordability problem. The SMS residential borrowing market is relatively small compared with the wider residential lending market. But for an individual SMSF planning to borrow for a house, the change is significant. So what are the options now? Broadly, an SMSF could buy residential property using cash. Consider qualifying business real property. Get indirect property exposure through listed property investments such as REITs, or decide property doesn't belong in the fund at all. You can still get property exposure without personally adopting another building and all of its problems. And I think that is a more useful way to look at this. The question isn't how do I find a loophole so that I can borrow for residential property? It's what is my super actually trying to achieve? If your strategy begins with, technically, I think we found a loophole, that may be the moment to call an accountant. If practical Australian financial literacy like this is useful to you, subscribe. That's what we're building here. The most important thing I learned from all this wasn't a particular property strategy. It was how misleading labels can be. A property could be a Class 1B. A lender can call it a commercial loan, and it could be professionally operated. And none of that automatically determines how superannuation law treats it. The label is not the test. The facts are. That's especially important with SMSFs, because getting the structure wrong can have significant consequences. The frustrating thing about financial rules is that the headline is usually simple, and then you meet the footnote. Our buyer pulling out was frustrating. After months on the market, we thought we were finally moving on. Instead, the deal disappeared, and I ended up learning far more about superannuation borrowing rules than I had planned that week. But the practical lesson is fairly simple. From the 10th of August 2026, new LRBAs involving real property generally require that property to be business real property. Existing and qualifying transaction arrangements can be treated differently, and whether an unusual property qualifies can depend on far more than what the building looks like or what the bank calls the loan. So if property inside SMSF is part of your plan, don't start with, can my SMSF still buy property? Start with, what exactly am I buying? How am I financing it? And which rule applies to this transaction? Then get advice on the actual structure before signing the contract. Because in our case, one date on a piece of legislation may have been enough to change the course of a $945,000 property sale. YouTube recommends you might enjoy this video next.